Tall, hostile, jagged. The gem of the Himalayas, Dablam. A mountain that would end up being the most intense climb of my life so far, with constant, unexpected dangers around every corner.
Dablam is not easy.
We spent 17 days going up the Matterhorn of the Himalayas. This is our journey. After 6 months of training and 6 days of trekking through the Khumbu Valley, I found myself standing at the base of Dablam, along with Dawa and Pasang. In part 1 of this project, I entered Kathmandu before trekking up through the Khumbu Valley. Through Buddhist monasteries and crowded trails, now we're at base camp with many climbers from all over the world, hoping for a summit on what might be the most gorgeous but terrifying peak in the Himalayas.
So we're walking around base camp for Dablam right now. It's huge and really cool. It goes on for a while on every side. Also, do you have that right behind us? Come on.
We had a choice upon arrival. Either take a rest day and acclimate, or take advantage of our great weather while we had it and start on our rotation to Camp 1. With signs of bad weather approaching, we decided to forego the extra rest and head on up, from 15,000 to almost 19,000 feet in the middle of the hot afternoon.
All right, the climbing portion of this trip is finally beginning, and I'm so stoked. And then it sounds like tomorrow we're gonna go up to the Yellow Tower, which is supposed to be, at least from a climbing standpoint, the crux of the route. So really excited to check that out. Yeah, I'm eating soup right now, and I'm ready to go.
There's something wild about seeing your entire climbing route right in front of you, perfectly lit with jagged cliffs contrasting insanely with the bluebird skies, daring you to ascend. How can something look so beautiful and scary at the same time? Dablam combines the technicality of the Matterhorn with the altitude of Aconcagua and some of the extreme weather of Denali, combining pretty much everything I've ever experienced in the mountains.
On the way to Camp 1, we've got base camp down there below us. We're already making pretty good progress, and we're trying to beat some weather. So we are trying to get a little bit of speed. Hopefully tomorrow, get up the Yellow Tower. They told me my regular hiking boots should be fine for this section. To me, it looks a bit snowy, but one step at a time, literally.
For mountains of this magnitude, climbers acclimate through doing rotations. Hike high, sleep low. We had a goal of sleeping at Camp 1 and then hitting the crux of the route, the Yellow Tower, the next day before descending back down, as a way to prepare our bodies before the true climb began. The path between base camp and Camp 1 is the easiest terrain, but also the most mileage, with nearly 4,000 foot elevation gain. Halfway up that section, we came across a very unfortunate event. A climber descending from the summit suffered a fatal heart attack and had to be recovered by helicopter. There were more helicopters and rescues that day than I had seen my entire life in the mountains. Between one climber being killed by falling ice and now this, I couldn't completely ignore these omens in the back of my mind. But I had to suppress those thoughts to keep pushing. Covered with leaning tents spread over rocky cliffs, sitting at over 19,000 feet, about as high as the summit of Mount Kilimanjaro, Dablam Camp 1. Some other camps on this mountain might be more famous due to social media, but this camp has my favorite view on the entire mountain. While gorgeous during the day, the sleeping at this camp was awful, full of intense headaches and tossing and turning all night over a rocky, downsloped surface, packed in with 2 guides. Rather than actually sleeping, I found myself watching Lord of the Rings all night on my phone. But on day 7, we got a little taste of the challenges that lie ahead. There was more snow than expected due to a recent storm. Add to that some ominous clouds and a gloomy forecast. We did not reach our goal of the Yellow Tower this time, and we went back down slightly defeated. With how surprisingly brutal it was just getting to Camp 1, I was thankful for the extra rest. Amma was already showing her teeth, and we all had to rest up and acclimate for one more full day to fully take her on. But look, more Dabloms.
Well, plot twist. That don't look too fun.
Enter our twist villain, Cyclone Mantha. A tropical cyclone that crashed into eastern India, devastating communities in the region. We got hit with the tail end of it.
Usually you can see the whole mountain right about there.
The wrath of Mantha whipped us with a fury, leaving dozens, if not hundreds of climbers huddled in their tents, waiting out the storm for what would become days on end. From here on out, Dablam and I were now locked in a spiritual battle.
Well, this is Dablam, day 30,000 something. Finally left the lodge for a second to go make a quick trek over to base camp, see what the conditions are like. It's not great, but everyone's vibing. We're all having a good time. It's a party out here. Some of these domes, so furnished on the inside. They have like greenery and espresso machines. I mean, look at this one. It's got a nice flowery entrance. This is crazy. But this is the Himalayas.
This lasted for 4 days. And even if we wanted to go down, the snow was rapidly getting deeper and visibility was decreasing by the hour, leading to some pretty horrific events.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting a breaking news that is coming in. A rescue helicopter crashed on Labush Mountain in Nepal's Khumbu region during an Everest operation. It looks like it is that the pilot of the chopper had a near-death experience, however, was rescued.
After the helicopter crash, everything halted. At this point, going up anytime soon was not an option, and now even going back down seemed just as challenging. We were stuck. But in this time, we got to know each other pretty well. Over different buffet meals every night, we told our stories of why we were here. One French guy just was walking by the mountain and decided to go base camp to summit to base camp in one push, and did it. Another was representing his country of Macedonia, and there were several Americans like me where this was their big leap into Himalayan climbing. At least, we hoped it would be, if the weather would let up. The biggest silver lining to that week was my new side profession as an ice sculptor, with my Lord of the Rings towers as my magnum opus. To keep from losing our minds completely, we did get some practice runs on some nearby boulders, but it could only generate so much excitement. If I'm being fully transparent, my motivation was rapidly deteriorating. I'd fought so hard financially and physically to be here, and the thought of the storm completely spoiling it before I was scheduled to go back home made me at one point consider quitting this climbing thing altogether. I'm not exaggerating when I say that hope was almost gone. Until...
My God, dude, this is the first time I've seen the sun in, I think, 3 days. Lord have mercy, it's beautiful.
After nearly a week indoors, and 1.5 watch-throughs of the extended Lord of the Rings trilogy, it was on. We were going up.
After about a week at base camp, started going up to Camp 1. And I must say, the conditions are interesting to say the least. Significantly snowier than the first go around up here. At least now I can see Dablam, and that is a huge morale booster.
The true battle to the top of Dablam had finally begun. We would stay one night at Camp 1 again, and head up further as early as possible the next morning to avoid the inevitable rush of restless climbers.
Made it to Camp 1. It was a slog, just like the first time, but maybe more so this time. It definitely took longer. Sounds like tomorrow the plan is to go to Camp 2. Should take, I believe, 3 to 4 hours. Finally knock out the yellow tower.
But that is our goal. And then we'll sleep at Camp 2. Then, for like, a fraction of a millisecond, and then wake up at the crack of dawn. No, not even the crack of dawn. I'm probably gonna wake up at like 10 p.m., maybe like 11 p.m. and start going for the summit the next day. So that Kumbu cough got me. But yeah, freshly sunburned.
Camp 1, Dablam. Let's go.
And just like that, I wasn't here for nothing. The real climb could begin. The stretch between camps 1 and 2 are some of the trickiest terrain on Dablam, winding and weaving around rocky and icy ledges. Like most of the Himalayan climbs in the region, the entire route of Dablam is anchored with fixed ropes, with full trust put into every anchor, and your life hanging by an ascender. In the words of Hayden Christensen, this is where the fun begins. Almost instantaneously, we were reminded of the storm that just passed. Powdery snow covered nearly every other step along the southwest ridge, causing a little slipping and sliding for everyone on our team, regardless of experience. The ridge mostly consists of 4th to 5th class terrain, which was littered with clusters of old ropes. The mess of ropes was often confusing. If I attached myself to the wrong one and fell, well, I won't sugarcoat it. I would probably die. Or at the very least, would be lifted off by one of those helicopters that I'd become so familiar with. Thankfully, most of the newer ropes were pretty obvious, and no one ever really screwed up in a bad way. One can't help but think of the first ascents up this crazy mountain. Before the fixed ropes and before modern climbing gear, hats off to the crazy bastards who went up this thing blind back in the 60s. We were now passing through 20,000 feet, where every step required extra effort and every slide of the Jumar was work, with every anchor station acting as a place to catch my breath. This rinse and repeat action would be repeated dozens of times over the course of the next 24 hours. The biggest hurdle comes at the very end of the stretch, the technical crux of the entire thing. The yellow tower is graded at a 5.8 on the American YDS system. Now, near sea level, a 5.8 is pretty tame, but at over 20,000 feet, with gloves, a backpack, and triple layer boots, it was the hardest 5.8 I've ever been on, and it probably always will be. And for the record, you will not find anything this technical on Mount Everest. This is precisely what separates Dablam from other Himalayan climbs. For this pitch, I ended up using a weird mix of free climbing and jumaring, and never really quite settling into either technique, but slowly creeping my way up nonetheless. The Yellow Tower isn't just the crux of the route, but it's also the bottleneck. And due to its technical nature and very few ropes, lines can form at the bottom very fast, especially with underprepared climbers and those with too heavy of backpacks, requiring a separate haul altogether. And while we were ahead of the crowds going up, the traffic jam situation would affect us heavily later on. Though I never felt completely confident in my technique, I was able to get up the tower with only one short break, even if I seriously fatigued my arms in the process. Dablam was proving to be an incredible ass kicker. Every step higher meant less oxygen, more labored breathing, and quicker exhaustion. At the very least, we were beating the crowds, most of which who decided to start a day later. We pretty much had the entire mountain to ourselves. The fact that only 2 days before this, I was stuck in a storm debating quitting felt insane once we were up this high. And with these views, it was incredible. Four hours of relentless climbing later, and we found ourselves at Camp 2, famous for its cliffside tents and its unbearable smell. It became apparent very fast that this was the Wild West of bathroom logistics.
Made it to Camp 2. It's looking a little desolate these days. After the snowstorm hit, you can see some of these tents down below. They are not in the best of shape. We're getting ours dug out right now. Holy shit, Yellow Tower's hard. Just with all the excess snow, a lot of it's been hard. I think everyone agrees. Everyone's a little exhausted today. But tomorrow is the big day, so let's go.
Imagine trying to sleep in basic economy class in a small aircraft in freezing weather, along with two full-grown adults. But on a steep cliff where if you step outside to pee in the wrong place, you will fall to your death. And that was our night of sleep at Camp 2. Honestly, it wasn't sleep at all. It was just pretending to sleep for a couple hours, waiting for a 10 p.m. alpine start for the summit. Starting in the late hours of the night, we traversed over the southwest ridge, through some of the most dangerous sections like the Gray Tower, a 50-meter vertical face with mixed climbing on rock, snow, and ice. And if you climb too close behind someone else, there's a high chance of debris falling right on your head. It was more important than ever to make sure that we had the correct rope. The consequences were quite deadly otherwise. Especially once we approached the Mushroom Ridge, which is one of the most exposed sections of the entire route. A knife's edge, just below Camp 3. Several intense hours passed by before we took a rest at Camp 3, a small camp just below the steep snow and hanging glaciers, right in one of the most avalanche-prone spots on the peak. And for this reason, it's rarely used as an overnight camp, and more of a quick pit stop.
Oh man. Dablam is not easy, but we made it to Camp 3. We started around 10 p.m. And the next big stretch into this is just going to the very top and then going all the way back down to base camp. So it's fucking cold, man. Fuck.
Up and up past the crevasses and hanging glaciers, we ascended as the sun slowly started peeking from over the horizon, making great time until a huge hurdle stopped us in our tracks.
So we got a wild update. We are within visual distance of the summit. There's so much snow caked up that half of the ropes are buried. Right side, my surroundings are amazing. Whole group here waiting to go up as well.
We were on the steepest section of the mountain, and the days of snow made it to where we would sink deep into every step. If we did not get all the ropes out of the snow, or if too many anchors were broken, we would be in some deep shit.
I don't know what's gonna happen. If I were making the call myself, I'd say call it close enough. It's gnarly. It's been pretty snowy all around, but this is like, it's gonna take a long time to clear up. So this may or may not be my summit video.
This was the end of the line. It was finish the damn thing or accept getting 98% of the way there. The snow was so deep on the upper slopes that we were post-holing our way up. I was on high alert and thinking mostly about safety, which at certain points made me consider calling the whole thing off. After so many extra hours worked to afford this trip and all the insane training, it was down to the last few hundred feet. It took hours of digging from a whole group of guides, but we persevered, not knowing what the outcome would be. And after an insane battle going past some sketchy anchors, we became the first team after the storm to summit Dablam. Against many odds, blizzards, crowds, broken anchors and ropes, we did a thing that so many wish to do. We were now standing on what many consider the most striking and aesthetic mountain in the Himalayas. One more technical than Everest, and more exposed than almost any other mountain I had done.
Right, so against all odds, we made it. Traveled on Dablam. You see that back there? See that? That's Mount Everest in Lhotse and Nopche all together. Although I'm on the prettiest mountain in this whole range, in my opinion.
But of course, this was not even the most dangerous part of the journey.
So here's Camp 3. We crashed for about, I think, an hour-long nap this morning before tackling that. Which looks way closer than what it is, trust me.
All the terrain that we had just ascended, we now had to descend, exhausted, hungry, and sleep-deprived. But now we got to appreciate the Mushroom Ridge in full daylight. Most of the way down went super smooth, rappelling and down climbing. There was one section below the Mushroom Ridge where a bit of snow fell out from underneath me, and I was saved by my rope and carabiner, but, you know, sometimes that happens out here. After a while, the stampede of people arrived, and we got stuck at the top of the Yellow Tower for over 3 hours, waiting for somewhere upwards of 30 people to get up before it got too dark. After summiting at around 10 a.m., we didn't get back to our tent at Camp 1 until closer to 10 p.m., way too over it and fatigued to make that last stretch back to base camp in the same night. Meaning one more night of not being able to call my family or my girlfriend. All I could do was send an in-reach message saying simply, "We summited."
Always getting pelted with ice. Dablam 2025.
Dablam might have been the hardest mountain of my life so far. It was the first time that I walked away feeling truly overwhelmed. The roller coaster of emotions and motivation during the storm beforehand, the technicality mixed with the altitude, and just the nature of being in such an extreme location in the highest mountain range on the planet. All this left me drained and gave me an intense, lingering cough that would last for weeks.
That horse has got some nice bangs. Voluptuous.
When we passed back through Namche, I made a quick pit stop to a local tattoo shop to get a permanent keepsake from this crazy experience. Throughout the way back down, we also linked up with much of the sweet hotel staff.
All right, we are departing Namche Bazaar, going down to Lukla, finally. I've been receiving so many of these Buddhist good luck charms.
Every prayer flag, every painted stone, every single blade of grass in the Khumbu Valley, I appreciated twice as much on the way back down.
All right, 17 days later, we are back in Lukla, and we're excited. Back to civilization tomorrow. But for now, it's pretty good to be here. There's dogs everywhere, there's bars, places to sleep. I'm excited.
The brutality of the Himalayan mountains has a way of humbling you and sticking around the back of your head in the long run. I personally cannot wait to come back for an 8,000 meter peak. Whether it be Manaslu or Ch'u'oyu or Everest, doesn't matter. All I know is that it has to be soon.
And with that, this marks the end of my Nepal 2025 trip. Successfully climbed Dablam, went to a bunch of temples, met some amazing people, heard some good music, saw some dancing, ate some amazing food. Yeah, it's been a time. It's been an absolute time. I will 100% be back. Whether that's for Everest or maybe a different 8,000 meter peak, or maybe an entire different reason. Maybe I come back just to eat the momos again, or just to visit some temple I didn't go to yet. I don't know. I will 100% be back in Kathmandu in the near future. Another grand adventure in the books.